I'm pregnant.
Anytime.
Did you watch?
Hi, by the way.
Hi.
Hi, it's nice to see you.
I've seen you all day, so it feels like we're just like.
Do you hear that, guys? I'm like, hey, how are you? She's like, I've seen you all day.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's why I didn't say hi right away, because we've seen each other for
It wasn't a
6
dismissive.
hours now.
No.
Oh. What do you think I'm dismissive?
I'm just putting, there's some hot coals. I'm trying to rake you over them.
I don't do anything wrong to you.
I'm just playing with you.
I'm a very nice person.
And we just shared some like nice
Ice cream.
salted, what is it? Pink Himalayan salted
Salt.
caramel ice cream, right? It's
My
good.
doctor just keeps telling me no ice cream.
I'd switch doctors.
Daily, I defy him.
I'll find you a new doctor. A doctor that heartily endorses ice cream.
He's the same doctor who said 24 pounds.
What are they trying to do to you?
Exactly.
It seems like there's already enough suffering.
Right.
Like, can't
At
we
least
mitigate
let
the
me-
suffering?
Yeah. Ice cream and like just.
Back in the
become a
day, I
whale.
bet if you like talked to your mom would be like,
She's like, I gained 65 pounds.
right? She like, I went to bed tucked in with a half-gallon ice cream every night.
Which is weird, like pregnancy chronicles.
Yeah.
Like, for me at least, you get full. I get full so fast.
Yeah. That's interesting. Is that typical?
I don't know, but for me, like, I can't eat nearly what I used to eat. And I don't have the same appetite, nothing.
That's weird. So how would people put on weight? I mean, obviously there's something growing inside you, so that's going to add weight.
But it's also like hormones and stuff. Like, when you're not eating more at all, you're gaining weight.
Oh, it's so wild. Yeah, just your body saying
A gallon
like,
of blood. I'm sorry.
I'm getting woozy.
It's water, all sorts of stuff. Water weight. It's like a nest building.
I'm a little sensitive
He's
with
like a child with this stuff.
no.
I can't.
But like blood, like
Oh, yeah.
like taking blood or
Oh,
anything
yeah,
like
blood,
that.
I
It's not just
understand.
about baby stuff. Let's be clear.
There's little baby stuff.
They're not baby stuff.
I'm like, you want to feel it moving? He's like, oh, no. It's gross.
It's not. I didn't. You. Just like I can't misrepresent you. You can't misrepresent me. Like, oh, you want to touch it? Gross. Like, no, that didn't come out of my mouth. I might have looked a little apprehensive, a little concerned.
No, there was
like,
a little bit. There was no. I don't do that or whatever. It was
I didn't say that
it had,
either.
like that quality is what I'm saying.
It was concern.
Yeah, it was major concern.
I'm like, there's like things growing in there, and
The miracle of life. You were inside once.
yeah, but I didn't ask for anybody to like pet me or touch me. I was like, just let me do my thing. Let me just incubate for a while, and I'll be out of here soon enough.
It is a weird thing.
Right? Now we're getting down to brass tacks.
Yeah.
It's all like miracle of life until we like really look at it and we're like,
Punches you in the
there's
side.
something creeping around in there, and
Yeah.
you're like, could you stop creeping around?
Seriously. I like get shots. I do all this stuff for him. And all he does punch.
What an ingrate. I hope this isn't like the beginning of the beginning of a process,
I
a
said that.
behavioral pattern.
I said that to some lady and she's like, welcome to motherhood.
So, okay, so beyond all that, beyond the pink salted caramel Himalayan delight,
So good.
owls, in case, like, I always like to make recommendations because I know most of you guys are out of town, but anybody in LA, we got Bollywood,
To town.
we got Bollywood, we got
see
owls.
Bollywood,
Those are a couple
owls.
spots.
That's it.
Is there any other, like, delightful Sloans? Sloan's at the Village.
Oh yeah,
like
that's
for
the candy
treats.
shop.
Yeah, like that is
and
like
ice cream. Ooh.
Yeah, it's a sweet trip to the candy
Real
shop.
good. Can you get bubblegum ice cream at the store? Because I haven't seen it. That blue
Didn't
bubblegum.
Thrifties used to do that?
They did, but they no more.
I think they killed whole countries with that blue dye.
It's probably.
I think that probably like.
But
acts
they
that.
have blue bubblegum ice cream at Sloan's.
Yeah.
And it's like my dream come true.
Yeah, canine.
Shout out to Blake.
Yo, that blue bubblegum is really good. And I have to say, I'm kind of an old school dude. Like, just rainbow sherbet.
Oh yeah.
It's one of those things, like, I always think about, like, this is a funny thing. I always kind of, like, put rainbow sherbet along with, like, Arby's. And if you guys aren't familiar with Arby's, I don't know if it's a West Coast thing or not, but it's a roast beef sandwich place.
Yeah.
And it's
But
like a big chain.
They don't even exist.
Oh yeah, they're still
Really?
here. Just like rainbow sherbet barely exists. That's the whole thing. Is they're kind of like they're really tasty, but they're relegated to like kind of like this like
Trashy,
small.
Yeah.
No, not trashy. Let me explain. Not trashy, but they're relegated to like a very small little piece of the market.
yeah.
They're like a forgotten product.
Right.
Everybody knows
It's like Squirt. Like the soda Squirt. Like people are like,
or Royal Crown Cola.
which I don't know about.
You don't know Royal Crown Cola?
No.
RC?
Oh, it's RC Cola. Yeah. And it's a Royal.
There's a reason
know
for that
its full
RC.
name.
It's not named after my friend Rob Christie.
I've never had it.
No, it's pretty good.
Squirt though I've had, and that was real good.
Squirt's great. Squirt had its time. Sunkist was definitely like a player for a while,
Definitely.
but Sunkist seems to have kind of like its sun has set.
It's not so kissed.
No, not at all. So anyways, wow, we're like really off on a little tangent here.
This is gonna make so many people so happy.
Right? How's the bullshitometer? It's like it's starting to peak out, like
It's bubbling over.
So, anyways, okay.
It's been a long day.
Yeah, no, but nice to get in a little Q&A and rock and roll with you cats. So here's what's cooking. So we're taking off Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday night.
For Rhode Island for T3 launch. The special, like, hopefully, fingers crossed and prayers out there that everything goes smooth with Hurricane Francine or
Oh, I don't know what it's named. All I know is
is it Matthew?
I just want to call it Hurricane Tori because it's going to take her away from us.
I know, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get Tori Smith out of Florida and to Rhode Island. We'll see how that travel thing goes.
Yeah.
So that might create a little bit of T3S interruptus.
Yes.
We'll have to see how we sort that
Yeah,
out.
we had just like changed a ton of stuff in the curriculum of how we're going to set up the day and all this stuff. And we're so excited. And then
You know what? I'm down to like I'll jump in. Can I get Tori's extra pay? I'll jump in and I'll train the later hours and you guys can like just sit and lounge and like make fun of me.
we'll do it no matter what. We'll do the setup no matter what.
Yeah.
We
We wanted Tori there.
yeah, it'd be fun to have Tori do it.
Yeah. Is she bringing Mowgli?
Probably.
Bad Mowgli. Anyways, so we're headed out to Rhode Island, like I said, Saturday night. 7-day seminar. It's our launch seminar. It's totally revamped. It's a big freaking deal for us. We've really changed some cool stuff. So barring like any like hurricane madness, it all should go down just right. How are things with Coyote and the Pig?
I saw that. Nothing new. I wrote my last check.
You wrote your last check?
Yeah, I wrote my last check to send off to the place to...
Did you get your final proof?
No, what you saw was the final proof.
But have you signed off?
Oh, yeah.
It's in God's
rolling.
hands.
Yeah.
Okay. So when do you
like
actually get like a box that shows up?
3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Nice.
Yeah.
So any of you Coyote and the Pig fans, coming close.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
And I'm getting the website all set up to be able to sell it for people who didn't pre-buy it. So
Awesome.
That's cool.
Congrats.
Yes.
I'm proud of you. That's big stuff.
Yeah, that's
And you
exciting.
just got like a really nice compliment from somebody about that.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
All of it's just great.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we've got the TGD book in progress. Working really hard on that. And starting to dial it in. There's so much stuff. Going through the blogs and tips and other pieces of content.
It's really good information, if I may just brag.
You got the floor.
We were just talking about it earlier that, like, I love watching. I used to back in the day, like love watching Britt talk about stuff or like coaching clients like in ways that we'd been doing it so long but putting our own spin on it. Remember we talked about this last time?
Yeah.
And then how she's grown as a trainer and as a coach and all this stuff. And then now watching Henri and Shelby, who are doing amazing work with all clients, and like and it's just kind of like, wow, like you just watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, look at them go. And they're doing their own thing. It's not like there's carbon copy.
Yeah, they're not mimicking.
No, they're just like, oh my gosh, they're coming up with new ways of putting things. And I'm just like, so it's just
they've
really
absorbed
exciting.
and then processed and then filtered and then sending it out in their own way.
Doing it their own thing. And, and it was cool because I was thinking about it today. I was watching Henri talk about something and I was like, you know, it really brought me back when I first met Sean. He had been doing it on his own for years and kind of doing his own thing, and we used to go on these pack walks with client dogs and then also like with his own dogs and board and trained dogs and, like late at night because we'd finish training super late. We'd get all the dogs out in like one fell swoop and just take them down was it Burbank or Burbank Boulevard. And Sean was like the funniest because he would spend the entire time basically using me as a sounding board for stuff that he was coming up with that you're all reading today. I'm serious. And I know there's new stuff all the time and it's evolved and all this, but Sean is like, he's got a bit of an obsessive personality, if you will. So his obsession at that time was coming up ways to say things to clients and ways to talk to people about concepts that a lot of, like I said, which is materializing in like blogs and tips and all that stuff. And he would just obsessively talk about it. And of course I was like, I was into it, but not like him. I was like,
I was into it, but I was like,
no, but we were friends and I loved listening and I loved being there and all that stuff. But he was just like, I'd never experienced someone so kind of obsessed with their game. So that's why I'm always like the biggest fan of his, like he's the real deal. And so all the blogs and all the tips and all that stuff, it's been filtered through years of trying to find the perfect way to relay it to you guys. It's not just like, oh, let me like talk off the top of my head. He's like so not that guy in the way that he loves to have it like really hone it, really get it to a point where it's like really easy to understand. And I think that's why so many people just like gravitate towards what you do and stuff.
Thanks.
So that segue is just like the book coming out is going to be all of the stuff that over years and years has been cultivated, and you're such a good writer now and it's just getting better and better, and then the book is going to like push it all together and be all in one place, and we're just so excited about being able to share that. You know what I mean?
I think for me, I realized really early on, this isn't like own personal horn tooting, but for one, like you deserve like a medal for like putting up with me.
No,
but
I don't mean it like
no, but I just know that I was like, blah, blah, blah.
But you were obsessed with what you did. Like I had other stuff that my mind was on, and you were like, but the client today, how could we better say that? And I was like, I don't know, we'll figure it out on the way, you know.
But for me, I realized super early on, and this is really important for all you dog trainers out there, I realized super early on that the presentation of the information was every bit, if not more important than any of the dog training or any of the other stuff that you're doing. If you couldn't convey the information in a way that connected to people and helped them move from one space emotionally to the other, if they couldn't put the pieces together or connect the dots, if you couldn't help them see that and find a special way to make that happen, you're really stuck. You're really limited with how many people you could touch and affect and have them move forward. So I think early on I realized, wow, there's a real like art to this about finding the right, and like Jim Rohn said, what has he said? You know, I've always been intrigued with finding the right words that will help. I can't remember the exact phrase.
One person from
to help somebody move forward. You know, like finding the words that affected or changed someone's life, right? And so like Jim's working on a bigger plane, but I mean, it's really about the same kind of thing of like finding the right words and the right phrasing that actually helps somebody connect the dots. And I think that's, like you said, one of the cool things when you put out a blog or a graphic or something and people are like, oh, I get it. That makes total sense. And you take away all the like kind of complex, overly complex dog trainer kind of like stuff that can overwhelm people. Then people can just connect to the information, and especially if you connect it to a lot of humanistic kind of experiences, things like that. I think it helps. So it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm just, it was definitely like, no, but it was definitely like a huge part. Like we talk about it when we do periscopes and things like that, and people are asking about, you know, like how to build your business. I'm like, focus a ton on how to share information that will help your clients feel different about what you're trying to do. And I don't mean conniving, like help them understand what's going on with the relationship
in a way that feels really good for them and makes sense. It's like, it's the biggest thing that I think we share, and it really comes top down. And it's a really cool, it's a cool thing to work on with the book, and just be like, wow, it's a culmination of all these things.
Yeah, I've been going through every morning and reading it, and I've been like, you know, some of it's hard because like the old, like, you know, I've been working really hard on becoming a better writer. So you read some of the older stuff and you're like, oh, it's a little clumsier than I like. But a lot of the stuff, the ideas, I still feel really solid about, even if they're not like, you know, even if Hemingway didn't like pen them. But the concepts I think are valuable enough that my goal, and I think our goal, is that along with the DVDs or any of the free videos or anything else, our Q&As, that this book is something that connects a ton of dots for people. That honestly, we always joke about this, but that like we could be hit by lightning and just smoke and like nails are left. And I don't know why the nails would survive, but smoke, nails, and my shoes, right? Because who knows what kind of chemicals they're made out of, and that all the stuff that we've left behind would be enough for people to be able to train their dogs and do well, and just, you know, succeed. So anyways, that's that. Thank you so much for that. That was very kind of you.
I think the big point is that it doesn't come easy for him.
No.
And so I love that.
But I love the challenge.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's that, you gotta love the challenge. But if you guys are out there thinking that you read stuff, or if there's something that you want to do that doesn't come easy for you, but you love, you gotta be as obsessive and tenacious as Sean has been to get to that point. If you really want it, now he has all these people reading and sharing and saying, like, man, like, it's not natural for him. And I don't mean that in like
all my English teachers would stand right behind you and be like, it's not natural.
I just mean because I've watched it not be natural or easy, or you know what I mean, and you've just pushed through and been like, this is going to be natural, motherfuckers.
And I've been really lucky to grab onto people like Stephen Pressfield, who's really inspired me, and Seth Godin. I mean, like, so many great writers that I've like spent a lot of time with. And you know, like anything else, you spend time with good folks and they start to rub off on you, and you, a little bit less of your cheesy stuff, like it fades away, and like a little cooler stuff comes on board, and next thing you know, you're like, that's not so bad. So anyways, thank you so much, and I hope the book is really helpful for you guys. So that's that, and I think we're just about to, like, I mean, we've probably stretched this intro about as long as it can go.
We're gonna stay on time with the questions, so we're all good. You guys can take the BS.
I like that. I think that should be a sticker. No, I mean a T-shirt, a TGD T-shirt. You guys can take the BS, right? For the really diehards, they're like, you can take the BS. We also did our e-collar workshop real quick, and had some really nice peeps down. And then of course, I almost called him Andrew, but his name is definitely not Andrew. It's Ashley. And Tim from Gold Hill Canine, and came down and did some protection work, and then did a little walk and talk Wednesday with us, which was really fun. And Ashley's a good friend of ours and a sweet guy, and
really talented trainer.
Really talented trainer, and possibly connecting us with a bunch of sod turf for the yard.
What?
Yeah, from like, he gets like connections from like soccer fields where they, like, you know, they have to redo it. They pull it up and it's used, but it's in great shape.
Oh my
and then
gosh! Stop it!
He
saw the rules.
Right, that's what that was.
That's reused.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we'll take reused any day.
That's what I'm thinking about. We're in deep negotiations right now. Anyways, okay, guys.
All right.
So I'm going to jump into the intro, right? I think this is the first time that we'll actually have the intro come in at the right point. Hey everybody, it's Sean from The Good Dog, and this to my left is the lovely Laura Morgan.
No.
I just wanted to stretch that out a little bit.
I thought you forgot.
This is the lovely Laura Morgan, and all this stuff that you can't see, which is really not much tonight. Pretty quiet. We got Junior hanging out. Sound okay?
Sounds good, yeah.
Okay, great. We've got Miss Henri in the other room training dogs, and we're just kind of busting some moves. Had a busy day with some pretty serious clients, and so that's great. Had a bit of a tough situation, and I know I'm kind of like getting off a little bit here, but like tough situation with Nola having to fly down and work with a challenging situation with a dog that was in a family that we felt we were pretty concerned about the safety of the family.
Not
So
the best fit. Yeah. So
and
you
having to
jumped
make
down for 24 hours, basically, right?
I was in Nola for 8 hours.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it was left one night and came back the next.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it was one of those really hard decisions about like trying to do the right thing for a family with a bunch of kids, and like, it's heart-wrenching stuff. Like,
but it's something really good outcome.
Yeah. We're super excited, and we're super excited. Let me clarify, for them to get a dog that will hopefully be bomb-proof, so they can really live their lifestyle. And but it was a tough decision, and it was a bit of a hard one, and a little heart-wrenching for all of us to have to try and have to work that through. Anyway, so all this good stuff is the Good Dogs Q&A Saturday, episode number 100 and... Oh man,
So weird. You just held up a 5 and a 0. Like, you didn't even hold up like the 4, and you were like, oh shoot, I thought it was the other way around. Like, you held up a 5 and a 0.
Because I got scared. Here's what happened.
Panicked,
right? Yeah. So I was like, am I the first or the second?
Right.
And in that moment of like, am I first or second hand, panic ensued.
Yeah.
And then like all my motor skills went south, and I was like, I know I'm a 0. There's got to be a 0. And then
was, like,
that was
this,
all
like,
like, and then
horribly controlling.
And then I
person,
was gonna
could
go
understand.
like. But it didn't happen. So.
If I was like horrible, if I was like, Sean, you gotta get it right. Like, I could see you
But that's what they don't
panicking.
see like off screen, like Mommy Dearest style, where you're like, no more messing up the hand signals. Go.
Anyway, question
anyways,
number 1.
Nails, are we gonna talk?
Oh, there's nothing there.
Nothing there?
Just a little nude shade.
Nude shade,
And I
okay.
got something new for next week.
Okay, and I've got crappy old shoes on, so we can just move right through the section.
Had a rough day.
Okay.
All right, question number 1. It
Yes.
comes from Tiffany.
God, that was a lot of bull.
Tiffany says, can I post the same question? Okay, and then she did. I need some serious help. I've browsed through all your training tips and can't find what I need help with. I have a 16-month
Impossible.
I have a 16-month-old dog who gets out of control, excited over people. He's definitely friendly, but can't contain himself when he greets people.
Yeah.
People can't even successfully pet him because he wags his entire body, jumps and spins. If another member of the house walks in the room, he goes totally nuts. If people ignore him, he's fine. I'm honestly not sure what's going wrong. I use a prong collar. He lives a very controlled life, like nothing is free. He wears a leash and martingale inside the house so I can stop him. We have boundaries. Household of 6.
Did she just say Alicia Martingale?
Yes. He's meant to be a service dog as he's alerted to my seizures from a young age. But unless I can get him past the out of control love of people, I would give up on that goal.
Yeah.
If you have any advice, I'd greatly appreciate it. Right now, I have it so everyone in the house ignores him. If we encounter people who want to pet him on the walk, I give him a command to sit and stay, and he does until someone goes into pet. As soon as he goes into his hyper mode, he's corrected and taken away. I'm finding that training him to be calm when the person's at a distance isn't working because he remains calm until they engage. Sometimes he'll still slip up and get excited when they're at a distance, in which he's corrected and not given the chance to say hi. We've been doing this for 3 weeks and he's still attention seeking, so I'm obviously doing something wrong. Okay.
Tiffany.
Tiffany.
Okay, Tiffany. So let's jump into a couple things here. Junior, don't you start coughing as soon as we start shooting the show. Okay, so first thing I'd like you to do is break the association of people equaling engagement and excitement, right? So if you're trying to train this dog, even if you're trying to train this dog to be like a super awesome service dog, or therapy dog, a dog that can go anywhere with you and is friendly with people and all that great stuff, that's all fantastic. But if you start the process by having the dog be creating this association that every time I get close to people and they get close to me, we're going to have a big explosive interaction, excitement and exuberance, you're toast, because the association's going to just like boom, it's going to cycle, it's going to snowball, it's going to become like all encompassing, right? So what I would first do is I would remove that, right? Not forever, because I know you want your dog to be able to be social, but like you got to reprogram your dog. Right now, I'm telling you, I can see through your dog's eyes. Your dog is seeing human beings, they get close, he sees that they're engaged and looking at him and they're coming in for a pet and he's like, wow, and he's losing his marbles. So that needs to stop if you want to get your dog to become conditioned to like, I'll just sit and hang out. Now, that also means that you've got to advocate for him and keep people from touching, petting, engaging with him if you want him to be successful. If you want him to continue to struggle, allow people to pet him, and that association will continue and continue and continue. So later, when this is solid, when he's got it really together, we can kind of reinvestigate. We can start to fade that kind of like, not fade, but we can start to incorporate more engagement from people once your dog is solid, but your dog's not there yet. So I hope that makes sense. These are stages, right? So if I need a dog to be able to tolerate being around other dogs or being around excitement or crowds or whatever it is, I'm gonna like slowly build it up, slowly build it up. I'm not gonna put them in that situation and then correct them for it straight away. It's just too hard. So the other thing is I've moved to e-collar training. I think she's, what is she on? Prong, and she's on Prong, Martingale inside the house, right? And so you're not going to be able to get your best stuff. Like prong collars are great, but you're not going to be able to get your best stuff with just a prong collar approach inside the house. Like I know you're having problems in two places. You're having problems with people coming in the house, creating excitement, and you're having problems on the walk. So on the walk, advocate for your dog. Do not let people touch your dog. Do not let your dog break a sit, correct. Keep your dog in a good space. People come in your house, your dog needs to go to place and stay in place. People should ignore your dog. If they don't, that's once again on you to advocate. But that's all prong collar, leash, halty stuff. Like you want to take this up and you want this dog to be a really bomb-proof, badass dog. If you sent that dog here to us, it'd be a full e-collar program, because then you could actually have control and communicate with your dog at a distance, even without a leash on, and it would be so easy, like breezy. Like people come in, even if your dog broke place or you didn't have your dog in place and you just let your dog like be around people and your dog's starting to get like curly Q wiggly, all you have to do is give your dog a tap on the e-collar and your dog will relax and decompress, and you'd be shocked how quickly your dog would go from like out of control and I don't know what to do with him to like, hey, I'm doing my best work in managing myself. The e-collar program will give you something very different than the prong collar program. And we're not saying that to like push e-collars, we're just saying it because that's what we see. So that would be something that I would be going for. I would be going for sit, down, place, recall, e-collar,
all
heel.
That stuff, all the extra stuff beyond just like, you know, I think the setup is big time in like the allowance of the people coming up. But also we need to make sure we're cultivating good stuff all over. I mean, your dog's not like being like a man eater. It's not like it's a bad dog.
It's just an excitement.
It's just excited,
crazy
like
dog.
Young dog. So just like making sure you're advocating and meeting the dog halfway, but also doing all the other stuff too. Not just that nothing is free. You know, not just like you have to wait for the food, or you have to wait before you leave a doorway, or you have to.
Do you guys manterruption?
Manterruption.
Number one.
Junior pooped.
You think Junior pooped? Well, I don't smell it.
Okay.
I'm immune to it. So, real quick, guys, like this nothing in life is free thing is great for certain like things of creating certain a dog's going to be patient and calm and wait for certain stuff. But I'm telling you, nothing in life for free is certainly not going to make your dog stop jumping on people. It's certainly not going to make your dog less exuberant around people. That's a very different contextual thing. You need to tell your dog, like when he's around people, you need to chill out and relax, not you, but your dog. So you have two choices. Your dog goes to place and zips it up and doesn't move, or your dog's allowed to mingle, but is corrected for any untoward like escalation of excitement and things like that. And you can do either one. So, and you can also combine them. You can place your dog, and then when your dog's a little chilled out, you can release him to interact. If he starts to lift off, you correct and you work through that. So yeah, correct in the house for any amping up. E-collar would be a dream, I said. But make sure, like Laura said, you want to do sit, down, place, recall, all of that stuff, but also e-collar heel, because you're having problems on the walk.
Yeah.
You're having problems with excitement. So you need to definitely get your dog to be able to like walk like an angel, sit like an angel, have people be like boneheads around your dog, and have your dog be more highly trained than the humans.
Highly accountable. Yeah.
And then when that's like, you're talking about like, you want a service dog? You want like a service dog or a therapy dog? Train the crap out of that dog to such a high level that like, he doesn't like, if you bring Cujo through like the airport, like he's going to be like on task, right? Because that's the way he's been trained, right? So
if
enough.
someone comes close to him, he's like not even going to give him eye contact.
Yeah. So, but that's like the higher level of training. So we have to kind of like ask for more if we want to get our dogs to that space. And then I'm going to wrap this up, but then you can slowly tweak this and allow your dog to have more freedom and have more interaction and more engagement with people once you've cultivated a high level of really awesome stuff. I hope that makes sense. And please fill in any stuff.
Just my last thing, because we're over time, but the last thing would just be that you've only been working 3 weeks. That's not a lot of time.
Oh
so
yeah, there's that 3-week part.
Don't worry about it.
I always miss the big picture stuff.
If you said 3 years, I'd be like, wow. But you're talking about 3 weeks with a dog that's, relatively young, not a puppy, but relatively young, who hasn't been given a ton of like accountability besides just like some basics. So
how old's the dog?
It's like a year and a half, a year and 4 months.
Just a young dog. Yeah.
Just a young, nutty, silly dog. So yeah, let's make sure we're not putting too much pressure on the situation. If your dog's not a service dog, it's not a service dog.
Yeah.
If it's alerting for seizures, that's awesome. But just because it's doing that doesn't mean that it's got the makings of a dog that was
that
born
it's
and
ripe
bred.
for everything else. Yeah. Service dogs need to be able to go in situations that are like highly sensitive around people, and people doing things or people moving certain ways, and be like just chilled out and calm.
Yeah.
I've been in service dog, like therapy dog situations, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
So hopefully that makes sense.
That's the end of that.
We'll be right back.
Pregunta número 2.
Poopy time has been handled. We got
smell it. I was like, what's that?
And all this stuff you can't see, but you can smell,
poop on the
is the
floor.
Good Dogs Q&A Saturday, episode 104.
Bethany says, question number 2.
Yes.
I would like advice on how to handle excitement reactivity to people and dogs. I always see advice about aggression reactivity, but it's not, it's more like, I love everyone that ever existed, so I'm going to scream and pull till I get to them. Okay.
Is that it?
That's the question, yeah.
Bethany is brief.
She's brief.
She's trying to help us out with a little bit of this time issue. Okay, Bethany, we appreciate your support.
Yes.
So this is both of us. We were actually both of us in the other one too. But do you want to jump in first? You want me to jump in?
Jump.
You want me to just jump?
Sure.
Jump in. Feel your touch. No, that's a really like old, what is that, Pointer Sisters? Do you know the Pointer Sisters? Here we go. See, it's happening. Pop culture challenge is coming, guys. I'm telling you, we've been discussing
I
it.
had friends that were really into like 80s music. That's 80s, right?
Jump.
Yeah. All right,
You should Google it and find out if that's the Pointer Sisters.
Timer.
Because I think jump in.
You lost 45 seconds.
Everybody, I don't need 45 seconds. Everybody's going to be like, Pointer Sisters, Sean, you rule. And you're really old. Okay, so anyways, and everybody's going to be like, Beyonce, Laura. So how to handle excitement reactivity, right? So super simple, and this may or may not make sense to you, but that's just the way it might go down. We handle excitement, reactivity stuff in the same exact fashion that we handle aggression, leash aggression, reactivity stuff. We don't really differentiate. We know that there's a difference. We understand that there's certain pieces of this puzzle that might involve a little bit more like fine tuning and things like that. But overall, like the reality is like if a dog shows up with excitement reactivity, or a dog shows up with nervous, insecure, leash aggression from not feeling good about dogs, or whatever it might be, there's not a whole lot of difference, right? So this stuff looks the same. You're going to get a bunch of craziness. You're going to get barking. You're going to get freaking out. Like polar bear is a great example. We always go back to PB. Like polar bear loved dogs, but polar bear was reactive as all get out,
and he wanted to go play with them.
Yeah, and he just wanted to go play, but he was happy to bite you in the process. So
get you away from getting in the way.
So let's not compartmentalize like playful, excited, like good-natured reactivity as being something that's benign, because it's not. So it needs to be dealt with in the same fashion that insecurity, leash aggression, any of that stuff that's coming from a more negative space doesn't matter. And actually, the dogs that are coming with reactivity that like other dogs, what's the typical attitude behind that?
It's real bratty.
You said it, lady.
I mean, that's like, no matter which way you slice it, you're talking about a dog. I'm sure whatever you're doing, Bethany, whether you're on a martingale, whether you're on a harness or on a prong call, whatever you're doing, you're telling the dog, no, bad dog, or whatever you're saying to your dog.
Bad dog.
You see, like, no bark, or come back here. You're like, you're clearly disagreeing.
I love the no bark.
We used to say no bark when I was young. No bark. We thought that would fix it. But like, you're clearly disagreeing with it, and the dog's just giving you the middle paw. Like, you know what? Forget you. I want that. And it doesn't mean that they're necessarily like, I want that. I want to fight that. But no matter what it is, it's disrespectful to you. So we need to kind of...
Typically, we see dogs that are in the excited kind of realm of reactivity being dicks and being like really disrespectful, really pushy,
not overwhelmed.
Like we've got a Roddy in right now who, like, we put him right around our dogs as soon as he came in, and he was like, "Hey, what's cooking?" Put him out on a walk, instant. Right? He turns into this super, sorry, I'll have to bleep that out, super aroused, super out of his tree, super, like, literally, I have, like, super, like this to you,
everyone.
Very disrespectful. And we see it in all the contexts. So Britt and Henri have been working with him, and we've been working on mindset stuff, because he's just as dangerous and just as apt to redirect and bite somebody as a dog that's got leash aggression who's fearful. And people don't get that. People are like, well, if he likes dogs and you correct him, you're going to make him not like dogs. It's the old saw, right? He's corrected and now he's afraid of dogs, and he used to like them and you've screwed him up. No, that's not the case. He's being a brat, and you are going to allow brattiness if you don't correct it and don't go after it in the same fashion that you would with a leash aggressive dog or an insecure dog, something like that. So on that point, you're managing impulse control. You're creating self-regulation. It's the same exact stuff that you would be doing for a dog that's nervous, and it always goes back to our primary concept, which is like, I don't care where the problem emanates from, listen to us. Don't listen to your fear. Don't listen to your insecurity. Don't listen to your excitement. Don't listen to your freaking out. Don't listen to your aggression. Listen to us. And guess what? You'll have an awesome walk, and you'll be a well-behaved dog, and your owner will love it. And that's the approach. The approach is defer to us and listen to the training rather than listen to what's cooking in your head. So I think we kind of really covered it all. I think just closing it out, that the reactive dogs that are coming from the excited place can be just as dangerous as the ones that are coming from the fearful place. And
just as disrespectful, if not
more. I honestly, I would bet a lot of money that they're a hell of a lot worse attitude-wise than the ones that are insecure.
Absolutely.
So just to close this out, Bethany, let's address your dog with firm rules, firm structure. Let's get him on a e-collar and a prong, and let's start laying down the law.
Yep.
Structured walk. Don't you dare move out of this structured position. Don't you dare look at dogs. Don't you dare get amped up.
Yep.
Don't you dare get into a space where you're in a negative space, even if it's out of love. I wish I could have done like a Dr. Evil, like
Out of love.
out of love, because that would have been perfect. I needed an assist on that, but it doesn't matter if it's out of love. It's all the same stuff. It needs to be sorted out. Your dog needs to know no. Your dog needs to know what's acceptable. Let's get rid of it. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
Cool. Let us know.
Yep.
Out of love. You just have to think, you want a hug? You want a hug?
Hug.
Hug.
I just.
Hot pocket.
Did you say hot pocket?
Eggo. You should try them. They're breathtaking.
You got so many skills.
That is my childhood.
You've got so
in
many
a nutshell.
skills, right? Okay, what do we got
right.
next?
Question number 3.
From Dr. Evil, strangely enough.
This is from Nuttall.
How do I get Mr. Bigglesworth? Is that his cat's name?
Yeah.
Bigglesworth? He's peeing on my lap.
Mr. Bigglesworth, no. We do not gnaw on our kitty. We bet no. Just love him. Stroke him. Question number 3.
I could literally listen to you do that all day long.
I could literally
Do it, right. Maybe we'll do a marathon one day. Okay. Yep.
Natal Jess says, how would you handle a dog that has both human and other animal aggressions?
Send him to Dr. Evil. Canine training school.
How would you teach a 40-pound dog to walk nicely on a leash without straining against the leash the entire time?
Guess whose name's connected to that one?
Why do you always give me these?
No, this is like so like right. This is like somebody calls you. I give you these because this is so like right up your alley. Like somebody calls and they're like, "Hi Laura, this is what I've got going on. I've got this dog and da 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 da, and he's human dog aggressive, and da 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 da, and what do I need?" And I know exactly what you'd say. Yeah, they do.
They do.
They do.
I mean, the reality with Jess is that, you know, I think the questions, the reason why it's like, oh, sometimes is like, I know that Jess, maybe you're not using quite the tools and stuff. Maybe you haven't been following us for a while.
Yeah.
Because that's stuff that we talk about a lot. But it's cool you're here now.
Yeah.
So I think the reason these can be hard because I'm like, well, you can do full program of both prong and e-collar and do
If Jess was calling you, she would have already been through the website.
That's
and
right.
you guys would be like
It'd be
already
a whole
like
different thing. Yeah. So Jess, I assume you're probably pretty new to everything. So I would say you people who have been with us for a long time, you know how I feel about full program, but to first answer your question on how would you teach a 40-pound dog to walk nicely on a leash, I would say you fit and size a prong collar and you work on the dog walking next to you, not pulling, not reacting, not staring, not anything, not pulling to trees to go to the bathroom, whatever. And you use a prong collar for that. We've got free videos here. Ding! I hope that works.
Yeah, me too. I love looking at that stuff.
And you can check those videos out and see, like how to size and fit a prong collar. We have part 1 and part 2, and then how to walk nicely on a leash, how to heel a leash.
Is that the title of it?
Collar.
How to walk nicely on a leash.
How to heel on a leash using a prong collar.
Like birds singing in the background.
And how would you handle a dog that has both human and other animal aggressions? I mean, to be honest with you, this is a very vague question. This is like, you've got like, if human and animal aggression, now here's the deal. If you're walking down the street and your dog lunges and barks at humans and animals because it's just like pulling you down the street and all that stuff, that's not necessarily human and dog aggression. It could just be reactivity, in which using the prong collar,
and craziness.
Yeah, craziness. Using a prong collar and using little corrections and making sure your dog is walking right next to you.
Structure, yeah.
In structured walk, is super important for all that. Is just a very, very first step.
Yeah.
But if your dog has serious human aggression, like biting humans in your house, or serious dog aggression, like actually going after dogs and injuring them off leash or on leash or whatever, that's like a whole different ball game. And we deal with that stuff mainly. We deal with that here.
Yeah.
And that's like...
Are you kind of hinting at, which is probably a really good distinction, because the question isn't super clear, that she could be dealing with just like reactivity
That's how
on
I'm
leash,
feeling.
and then like interpreting that as aggression.
Totally.
And you're trying to make it's a really good distinction.
Yeah, there's two things. One is just very like can be corrected and not easily fixed, but can actually be, you can work that stuff at
Explain
home.
to them that like on leash stuff can look like aggression.
Oh yeah. I mean, you said it. It can look terrible.
Yeah.
You can have a dog that like lives with 5 dogs. That's totally great. And get him on a leash, just clip that leash on, and all of a sudden
He's a
every
maniac.
terrier, every dog he becomes a terror to. Or humans, he lives obviously comfortable with humans.
Yeah.
He's totally friendly.
Yep.
Put him on a leash and he feels this barrier, frustration or nervousness, or you're putting him in situations where humans are actually able to approach him and he's a nervous dog. What I like to, ask clients on the phone if they're talking about like reactivity with humans or dogs, but everywhere else is good. I'm like, okay, well, how does your dog do, loud sounds? Oh, he hates loud sounds. He starts shaking. Okay, there's your dog, nervous, insecure, anxious, this sort of stuff. All of a sudden he's on a walk. Humans are coming near him. He doesn't know them. And he starts doing the first thing that comes to mind, which is just act like a fool. So my guess is that you're probably on the reactivity stuff, since you kind of looped it in with the walk stuff.
Yeah.
So Jess, I would start with a prong collar. Again, go to our videos, size and fit that baby, start it all out, and at least knock out that walk and correcting for any wayward glances towards dogs and humans. Now, if you have human or dog aggression, meaning sent humans or dogs to the hospital/vet, that's a whole different conversation, and that's something you should get a professional to work with. And we can go down the rabbit hole of how we do that stuff, but most likely, if you're new to all this stuff, like that's definitely more of a professional, like hands-on experience with
So and I just want to clarify that like this is like probably one of the biggest misunderstandings when it comes to dog behavior.
Yeah.
And we see it, hear it all the time. We get in contact forums, we talk to clients all the time.
Reactivity versus aggression.
And it's just super duper common. And so if you have a dog that in certain contexts is really great with other dogs and really great with other people, but on leash you're getting a very different thing, make sure that you really wrap your head around the fact that that doesn't mean your dog is aggressive.
Right.
Doesn't mean your dog couldn't damage a dog or a human in that moment, in that context, but it doesn't necessarily mean your dog, typically doesn't mean your dog is aggressive towards humans or dogs. It just means that your dog's frustrated, pissed off, excited, exuberant,
Nervous,
nervous,
it is.
freaked out, possessive, any of that stuff. So make sure you really make that clarification and make sure you really wrap your head around that they're two different worlds.
Totally.
And real dog aggression, real human aggression, like you said, very different things.
Very different.
So, and then the last part of this is just that if you do the prong work, like Laura said, and you really dive in and you do your homework and you work through it and you're still struggling a bit with some of that stuff, our reactive dogs, we go to e-collar and prong, and then that's how we really make the big transition.
That's the promised land.
It's further down the road, it's more work, it's more money, it's more time invested, it's more nuance, but if you're really struggling, then that will help you get there.
Totally.
Yep.
All right.
Nice answer, lady.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Let us know how it goes if you want updates.
Okay.
I'll delete I wish I should make, because we have some zingers in between question.
You should have to pay like $150 for full disclosure. Yeah, there's been a few zingers that have rolled through here.
We've definitely just some stuff that I'm like, oh shoot, I'm so glad that I watched this so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, the reason, guys, why I watch this so many times is because stuff can slip through the cracks, And we're not, it's
What
not
do you mean by that?
It's not like we're being shitty, but like we'll say stuff to each
Off-color
other
stuff.
totally like that you wouldn't even like get the reference because we're talking about something like from the other day or something, and it's just like you know, we've been friends for a while.
And we're super easy with each other. And if either of us know the intent of each other, like it's us, and we're so like not out to like doing it. It's all for like just fun shits and giggles and all that good stuff.
It's really funny. I wish I'd compiled a list of things of just us being like.
Okay.
Anyway. Okay.
Someday when we're retired and I've moved to an island and they can't find me. Yes.
Question number 4 comes from Instagram. This is Jasper6340.
Mm-hmm.
Jasper says, thoughts on training a deaf dog with e-collar?
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts? Should we just have you just be like,
well, Jasper, back in 1934, I encountered my first deaf pity.
Thoughts on e-collars.
And
communication.
I found them to be quite beneficial. Okay, so Jasper, first thing I would suggest is go to our YouTube channel, which is The Good Dog Training, and I would look up. I want to say the video was like Duke, deaf pity, resource guarding.
Yep.
Yeah, and so Duke was. That's my 4th time. Duke was it started like 3 months, but I think at 4 months he was like came to us.
Yep.
And major resource guarding issues, right? So even though you're not talking about a resource guarding dog, I'm just going to give you a little background on this so you have some context as you watch the video. Attacking the other dog in the house, going after the owners, things like that. Around food and like pretty like maniacal stuff around food.
Yeah.
So showed up here at 4 months, which is really young for a dog to have that kind of severity of aggression. And like there's before video, you want to see like the owner with the tennis racket trying to protect himself, and like Duke coming in and like snarly McNarly. Yeah. So basically what we did and what we do for deaf dogs is a pretty simple, straightforward program. We did a lot of food work with him early on, taught him all the behaviors, nice and simple, nice and easy.
So just to be clear,
yeah.
So Henri paired a really low, I just remember this was the start with him, a really low sensation on the e-collar with food. A really low stim on the e-collar, like, you know, wherever he could feel it. Say he could feel it at 3 or something.
For attention?
Yep. He'd look up, he'd look at her in the eye, he'd get paid with a little piece of food.
Yeah.
Right? Not like a treat, but just a piece of his kibble.
And the reason why we didn't use, this is a really important distinction, because what typically gets utilized or recommended is to use vibration or use vibe. To use vibe to get the dog's attention, to create that like eye contact and then pay. Problem was this dog was so intense that vibe didn't matter to him. So you could pattern him all you wanted with food and it didn't matter. So we had to use low level stim. And if I'm not mistaken, we did like a double tap thing to get his attention.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, to create a little clarity. And we did a ton of like what you're saying. So
she
like
just basically paired it, so then every time he felt the tap tap,
really low level
at whoever was like around, basically.
Yeah, and then we pay, and then he starts. So what ends up happening is that tap tap ends up, causing Duke to look around for like, who's talking to me.
Yep.
And then what we started to do is pair, I'm trying to remember the exact sequence.
Just like a recall or place and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were using food still with the process.
Yeah.
So we were using food to lure into a lot of the positions, and then we slowly mutated or migrated or moved into I can't find the right word. Moved into low-level e-collar stuff for more of the behaviors, and still paying with food, but we started teaching sit, down, place, recall, e-collar, heel. And using hand signals and things like that.
Yep.
So if you watch the video, you'll really see how that all kind of comes together. It's really not that complicated. The whole thing is basically, instead of using verbal stuff, you've got 2 things you really need to do. You've got to get the dog's attention, and so you've got to pair that with either like I said, a lot of people say vibe, but like this guy didn't care about vibe, so we had to use low level stem. And where was I going with that? So and then hand signals.
Right.
So that's the secondary part of it. So we've got to get the dog's attention, and then we've got to create hand signals instead of verbal stuff. And then we've got to hold the dog accountable, right? And move him through the process. And he rocked, like his obedience was like astounding.
Yeah.
And then we actually had him work around his sister dog and work through all the aggression issues and things like that.
I mean, the with the question just being thoughts on e-collars with deaf dogs, like
Did I go too far?
No, it's cool. No, I'm just, you're taking it, I'm doing big picture. You're doing like macro, micro.
Gotcha.
So I'm just saying it's such a cool tool. Like you can actually communicate with a dog, aggression or not. You can work on recall. You know, we just have hand signals for recall, for place command, things like that. So you can actually communicate with your dog, and it's not just about correcting. You have that like really low stem for the tap tap or whatever you want to do, vibe if your dog responds to that or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But getting your dog to actually pay attention, look around for guidance, you know, for the next move. Because I think what we've seen a lot with deaf dogs is they kind of live in their own world.
Yeah.
And they become kind of stubborn. I mean, they're still dogs after all.
They become neurotic.
They become neurotic.
Worried, concerned.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also like stubborn, like I do what I do. No one can ever really tell me what to do. They like drag me by a leash.
Because there's no communication.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So they kind of become the strongest one in their world. So I just think it's the coolest thing ever. It's like, it's the way to have an invisible leash on the dog all the time. And so, I mean, go for it.
Yeah. So just to close out, get attention with the e-collar, pair it with food so you can get eye contact. I can remember working with Duke, and he could be across the room. All I had to do was double tap and he would look around. And as soon as he would see me, sorry about the microphone, I'd give like the recall, and like he would move towards me. We even had like markers for good, things like that, all sorts of different stuff you can have fun with. And then just give the hand signals and use the e-collar to make sure that you proof and that you hold him accountable, and then you've got an off-leash trained deaf dog, and it's really not that hard.
E-collars are the best for that
so hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, hit us up and we'll try and clarify, because I know we went macro micro and we could have like confused everybody.
All right, thanks Jasper. Question number 5. Boogieing through these babies.
Yeah, James Brown.
James Brown.
He's writing in.
James Brown. It's not James.
No.
It's Al Green.
Oh. I'm so tired of being alone. I'm so tired.
See, I'm a Motown specialist.
Help me down.
You talk about like the what is it? The generation gap. I have like older references than you do sometimes. Because I grew up on the oldies.
I'm going to be really generous right now. If anybody knows anything about R&B,
I'm not talking about R&B.
That would be R&B, unfortunately. Motown, Stax, High Records, which would be Al Green, and Peebles, all of those folks. Don't you make me pull out some references, because I will dominate you.
Definitely was not looking to have a competition. All I was looking for.
Ooh, look at that. That was a slick move, though.
No,
that was a slick chess move.
All I'm saying is that I'm trying to make you feel not alone. Like when you bring up like Al Green or Otis Redding or something like that, I know every word.
No, totally.
I never said you didn't have knowledge. I said I can actually like relate with you on some stuff.
I think if we rewind the tape, there was a point where you said, I know more about older stuff than you do. No, I said I have like older
references than you. That's not like...
it's right on the edge of calling me out. I think there was a call out.
There was no call out. I was saying older, like you talk about 70s, 80s stuff.
Maybe we should have like a Motown, like literally with buzzers, and they like play like 10 seconds, and we like buzz in like, I don't know, you're pretty good with your Motown.
Anyway, question number 5 comes from Al Brown.
It's Al Green and James Brown's like cousins. They got together.
I have two dogs that I prong collar obedience trained since they were puppies. We enforce respect and rules in the house and yard, including many of the rules you teach. My lab became reactive and overexcited at about 1 year old. He loves people and other dogs. It's not just aggression or fear, and he's not just reactive on leash, but in the house and yard too. I've been working on this for 3 years. When he first started barking and lunging, I didn't didn't know how to correct as my prong corrections didn't seem to work. I researched and tried treat training with a gentle leader, 48 miles from the nearest barking dog.
Nice reference.
Throwback.
Nice reference.
Much like Laura's experience, I ended up reinforcing his reactivity. It got worse. I learned e-collar. However, I think I went wrong. I was too reluctant to correct too high. I would correct at a higher level, but it didn't extinguish the behavior. And now I feel like he's built up a tolerance. I now have to correct at 50 and hold even with dog at a distance. Ooh, wow. He will look at me or look away from the other dog, but as soon as I release the e-collar pressure, he resumes his escalation. If I correct higher, he'll yelp, but the behavior does not extinguish. I'm creating distance and I have increased it to see if it helps. I'm not a softie when it comes to correcting him, but I hate making him yelp, especially if it's not stopping the behavior.
Sure.
I don't like the evil eye from onlookers, but I'm willing to deal with it if it works, In a case like this, how would you bring his tolerance back down or stop the behavior once and for all? From watching your videos, I gather Polar Bear was tough. How did you get him to stop being reactive? FYI, I recently used the e-collar to correct my other dog's habit of bolting after small animals, and it was great. She's now off-leash reliable, but I just can't tackle the lab issue.
Wow. So you want to jump in and talk a little bit about that?
Sure. It's really tough without seeing the situation. I just love to see what kind of dynamic there is. If you want to send video or something like that, man, would we welcome that. If you could get someone else to videotape you and kind of see what state the dog is in when he's getting in that way. I would say, Sean and I were talking about this question earlier, and those higher corrections, when you have a dog who's not changing foundationally up here, you're just adding fuel to the fire. It's not doing anything. Like you said, you're just hearing vocalization and it sucks. It's just a losing battle no matter what, once your dog's mind is up there. For me, for Polar Bear, my big saving grace was the comprehensive approach, not just working on the walk. It wasn't perfect by any stretch, what I did, but definitely holding him.
Huge progress.
Huge. Super accountable in the house for everything, any sort of food stuff or in place command. He was the dog who was always in place, always in a position, always he didn't really move until I told him.
Breathe unless he was allowed to.
Unless he had playtime with dogs, which that was his shining moment. So for me, the comprehensive approach as opposed to just tackling the walk really helped calm him down and give him a lot more respect for me. So when we went on the walks, he looked at me in a different way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and
you also, to be perfectly frank, you tried a variety of tools.
Oh, yeah.
You checked everything out. You used a dressage whip on some of your walks, and that,
dressage whip helped.
Yeah, he was very respectful of the dressage whip.
The dressage whip, and that was I barely had to do anything. I just have to tap his butt, and he'd be like, oh.
Dressage whip.
Yeah.
And you got away from the prong, if I'm not mistaken, and did dominant dog collar. And that helped. Just having the prong collar on was really hard.
Yeah.
That really goosed him up.
Yeah. So
which is unusual, but that was your situation.
Yeah. So dominant dog collar plus e-collar ended up being our saving grace.
Right. So it's we've got this Roddy here who sounds like the identical twin of who you're dealing with, right? And this Roddy came in with major reactivity issues, right? And so what we focused on is everything that Laura's talking about, a holistic, comprehensive program, everything interior wise, sit down, place recall, high accountability with the e-collar. But the thing that we always talk about is going after all these tiny, small moments that a lot of people miss where the dog has intensity. This guy likes to charge out of the crate, likes to charge in the crate, likes to move through thresholds, likes to pull at any point that he can. And if you look for those moments strategically where the dog has got a little bit of this stuff, that kind of aroused stuff, and you really go after it, you can make some pretty big headway as far as when you're actually on the walk. Now that said, so think about small moments, right? Really think about small moments, and do not just just designate any of them as being like non-essential, because every moment where your dog is like pushing against something and you allow that, you're green lighting other behavior, right? Now, on top of that, different tools, right? Different approaches. You can have him on a prong and you can have him out and you can do 180s on the prong if he's starting to get like worked up and in a kind of aroused state, because part of the 180s gig, and you can see that in that video, how to introduce a prong collar and stop polling in like a few minutes or something like that. And it's with me with the dog with Lola, named Lola. And those 180s like really do a lot to create focus, but they also do a lot to bring down arousal and intensity, intensity levels. And all of a sudden you've got a dog you can whisper to. And what I explain in that video is starting from starting from prong collar introduction, like pressure introduction, leash pressure introduction, then moving to small taps, small pops like this, I can't speak, small pops for like position of heel, and then if the dog continues to push, 180s, that brings the arousal way down, creates more focus. Then I go back to one-handed little pops, and we have like, the whole goal is, can I talk to you in like a soft, easy mode rather than having to like nail you or blast you. So the 180s on the prong can be like a huge lifesaver, could really turn things around for you. What else would I recommend for you guys? So if you're, he's not on e-collar, right?
Yeah, he is.
He is on e-collar. Okay, so then you can do the same thing with e-collar, and that's something we've done with the Roddy. Britt was out today with the Roddy. Britt was doing 180s with the prong and then switching it up. Like, the cool thing with dogs like this that have reactivity issues, you're literally playing a chess game where you're looking for all your different ends to get into your dog's brain that you can have an effect on them in a positive fashion. So e-collar, 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 and your dog's like, yeah, that just amps me up. We need another choice, or we at least need to augment that choice to where the e-collar is only a piece of the conversation, right? So it might be prong 180s, it might be e-collar like recalls, quick back and forth to create focus. It might be a dressage whip if you've got like a really intense dog that's like going bananas. And of course you're not going to be like Mr. Popular in the neighborhood if you're out there with their dressage whip. So best to have like a Laura Morgan along with you to be like, we're just out on a walk with their dressage whip.
I used to say, like, well, you know, for me, no one ever asked me, but I always like in my mind to kind of prep me, because I get it, the social pressure stuff. When I carried the dressage whip, again, this is for like light, like not like watch with the dog, but just like having it. I would just in my mind be like, this is for off-leash dogs. Like, if off-leash dogs, I've seen people carry canes. I've seen people carry stuff that like they would shoo dogs away. So if you kind of put that in your head, it changes things.
Yeah, it's a nice way to approach it. Except it's like your off-leash dog that you're concerned about. Anyways, so then another tool that you can get into is the dominant dog collar. And this works a ton, right? So here's another great example of like Brittany working today with this Roddy, and this, like I said, this Roddy's off the chain.
Seriously reactive.
So Britt's using every different component from all of our tool sets. She's using prong collar, e-collar, dominant dog collar, and she's even using foot pressure and things like that, like dog trying to move through a threshold, tapping him in the front of the chest, something like that, getting his attention, small foot tap in the back to get him to be like, what is this? And if it's almost like, I don't know if I have a good comparison, but it's almost like be like a boxer. Like, instead of throwing the continuous like jab or the continuous combination, shaking things up with something that's unpredictable. So your opponent's not like, oh, waiting. I know this is coming. Instead, you share a bunch of different stuff, and instead of the dog just getting like, I'm gonna get like prong collar or e-collar, like all of this different stuff's coming, and then your dog starts to amp up, and you just stop, put him in a sit, a little bit of dominant dog pressure, you know, like the dominant dog collar, pressure up. We're not lifting the dog off the ground. We're not suffocating the dog. We're not putting the dog to sleep, any of that stuff. We're just, it's a consequence, and the dog's going to be like, oh, this is no good. And then you put the dog down, you relax, off we go back on the walk, and we try and use all these different tools to find a way in. And honestly, like, if you get really creative, and it takes time to get good with all these tools and to know how to apply them, you can really start to make some serious progress. doing the combination. It's like the superpowers, like the Avengers. You put them all together and you have this like huge impact on the dog, rather than just trying to do one tool or something like that, just Iron Man. You know, sometimes you need, like, I don't know who the other guys are, but anyways, so that would be a big suggestion. And like I said, it's complicated, but if you've been working, what he said, 3 years? If you're working 3 years, it's time for a change. It's time for a shift. And I would start incorporating different tools. The dominant dog collar has worked for so many people.
That's a missing piece. Yep.
So many people, because it's the one tool a dog can't amp up against. And just to give you a quick little insight on that, if you're going to go out with e-collar, prong, and dominant dog collar, carry 2 leashes. Your one leash goes to your prong collar, e-collar's in this hand. Your second leash, which typically we use a traffic leash, goes to the dominant dog collar, right? Shorter one. And if your dog starts to amp up or freak out, you just calmly just pull up and add a little pressure, and your dog just relaxes and calms down. And that's a really, really good approach. So that's kind of what we'll do. We'll throw the kitchen sink at these guys, but we'll also throw the kitchen sink at them. How do they come out of the crate? How do they eat their food? Do you recall exactly when I ask, when we're walking you through the house to go potty, are you pushy? Because if you are, you're going to get nailed. If you try and move through a threshold at 6 in the morning when we're not working, you're gonna get nailed. Like, all of those moments count. They all add up. So that would be my suggestion. And I hope I covered it all.
I'd love to see video.
Yeah.
You've been working for 3 years. Bring it on. Let's see it, Al. Send us some video. We'd love to see that.
Yeah,
if you're still struggling.
In between concerts, I mean, like, you get some time off the bus, send us some stuff, and
get someone else to get out there and film you. And I just would love to see, like, what state the dog is in before that stuff starts going down.
Yeah, like, just to close this out, arousal, guys. I even have a post. Arousal is the enemy. Very few people get arousal. Like, they don't get that arousal is really the enemy on these walks. And when we got that Roddy out there, the first thing all of the crew noticed was, like, he's in a dangerous mode because he's aroused. And when a dog is aroused, they'll redirect. They don't give a crap. They're disrespectful. They're in their own space. You got to get your dog into a relaxed, calm space to be able to have a more of a whispering conversation than a yelling or anything like that. And to really close out, because he was talking about we didn't even talk about this. Sorry, this third time's the charm. He was talking about collar corrections getting higher and desensitizing the dog.
It's not going to help without a comprehensive approach, and like we were saying, those can kind of lift you off.
But if you were going to use a higher level collar correction, where would you use it?
What do you mean?
If you were going out on a walk with a dog.
Thresholds.
Why?
Because it sets the tone for the walk, and
your dog's more mild.
Yeah,
right.
And there's a million reasons why those conversations, like crate exercise, threshold. That's why I was saying at the beginning, comprehensive.
Yeah, leverage.
I was harder on Polar Bear coming out of the crate, helped my walk more than any correction on the walk would.
Yep, you're right on the money. Nice work.
Boom.
Okay.
Stops.
So maybe we can just, like, write down just a reminder here, because I get here and I forget.
Okay. So last week we brought out the e-collars that we're going to do a giveaway. I got a bunch of awesome emails from people that were like writing me stories that I was like, oh my gosh, how do I choose? Like, there's so many good people that need e-collars, and it was pretty crazy. So I talked to Sean about this. I'm not sure. You're still down with this, right?
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to do, because there were so many good submissions, is we have to change the submission a little bit. And this isn't to make anyone jump through hoops. I'm not trying to make you like, oh, you got to work for it. But it was really hard. There were a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we would love actually video submissions. And the video submissions can be you telling your story, something that I could post up. So if there's information that you don't want out there, please, don't put it out there. Don't put it on the video, but definitely like telling like either why you want the e-collar, or even better than that, showing your dog that you want to work on, showing the dog that's out of control or having issues. Like, we want to see the reasons why. And if people want to send in those videos, then we can kind of like look at them together, or maybe
Yeah.
even vote on them as a group or something like that, and then send those off.
Yeah,
So,
and maybe even send them off with a little bit of information, a little bit of insight about like how to maybe like resolve the issue and stuff like that.
Yeah, we could do like, we could answer the question on Q&A here and send off the video, or just talk to them about like, you know, but man, the submissions were just like so hard, and I was like, I can't choose. So we kind of have to like, I think I'm going to send the people, I don't know, but I'm going to send whoever I thought was like, you know, put in the work. I'm going to send them sort of like, you're in the second round. I know, does that sound cheesy?
No. They're moving through the ranks.
Yeah, there we go. So we just want to see some video. I think it'd be really fun to get all of you audience involved in someone who's going to win. You know, these e-collars are really great. So we're going to do that. So if you want to do a video submission, email this email right here, send your video submission. If you know, if you make the video and it's too long to send through an email this and I'll give you directions on how to do it. So if you don't know how to send a video through an email, I will email you specific directions. You just need to let me know through this email that you need some help. So yeah, that's it.
That's it? Cool. Yeah. No giveaways beyond that?
No,
I mean, we're just preliminary giveaway stuff.
That's our big giveaway that I'm going to just try to, we want to get the best person. It was so hard.
Oh, quick question. What are we going to do? Like, we're going to do, well, I guess we'll do Q&A in Rhode Island, but then I'm going to be gone.
I know. We're going to have to work it out.
Are we going to do 2 in Rhode Island?
I don't know. We'll have to figure it out.
Uh-oh. Could have our first bump in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, we could do what we did before, like Google Chats, Hangouts, all that stuff.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching. As always, couldn't do this stuff without you guys. We appreciate your support. Tons of mad love. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you next week. And some more good stuff.
Send in some questions. Bye.
See ya. Mm.